Mime is a very particular artistic skill, and some people are really good at doing mime, again, because we rely on your face and your voice. You need to have a story to tell. This is not just a piece of can we understand what you're doing. We want to be entertained. So give your mime a storyline and then develop the storyline as the mime goes through. You don't speak the title of your piece. In Sri Lanka, some festivals you have to announce the title, but in Sri Lanka you show it on a piece of card. That's fine because it's absolutely clear what the title of your mime is. Make it short. Don't do a description because that's what you're there to show us, what the mime is all about. Make sure the actions are clear. Make sure they're decisive. Make sure if there's repetition for something that you want to do a second time, you remember where it was the first time, so it's clear that you're repeating something. Be careful about repetition because it can become a little tedious if the same idea is repeated several times. Once you've suggested what you want to have the audience think about, then you can move on to the next piece. And remember that a mime has a climax, the same as verse speaking, prose speaking, acting, drama. It has a climax and you need to work towards that climax. And if the climax can be a surprise to the audience, well, that's even more fun. So enjoy your mime. Make sure the movements and the gestures are expansive. Make sure that we can see you. And there's no reason why you can't turn your back on the audience. But just remember, if you do, we can't see your face. And faces are very, very important in mime. When you're choosing your passage for your dramatic piece, for a drama, acting out a piece of an extract from a play or acting out a monologue doesn't really have a beginning or an ending before the actual monologue itself. So you need to think about what's happened to the character to get him or her into that particular point in the piece that you're going to perform, because something has happened. There's been life before the monologue and there's life after the monologue, but in that case you're going to have to make up what it is. Sometimes the author will tell you what's happened just before the monologue that they've written. Otherwise, you have to just think about it. If it's a play, an extract from a play, well, then obviously read the play, learn all you can about the character and the way that character interacts with other characters and what other characters say about that character that you're performing. Think about the motivation. Focus on the idea of how that character got into that situation and how they're going to get out of it and how it develops. You need to engage and involve yourself with the character and the feelings and the emotion of that character so that you can bring him or her alive and present that character as if it's really happening. And of course, it's never happened before in terms of the acting on the stage, and it's never going to happen again. It's life as it is for that character. So it needs to come alive on the stage, and you need to believe in what you're saying and what you're doing. And if you believe in that, then you can suspend that belief over into the audience. It's like when we watch programs on the television. Sometimes they can be very emotive and they can actually make us cry. And we know it's only a television program, but because we've become involved in the character and involved in the situation, then we can really believe in it. And the same thing goes with humour, of course, as well. Humour is quite difficult to share, but if we get involved in it and we understand what's going on, then we can be really amused, and it makes us laugh. It can make us laugh in our own sitting room, and it can make us laugh in the audience, in a performance, in a festival. So I want you to focus on the motivation behind the piece. Don't be afraid to pause. Let the character develop through the piece. And when you actually do your piece, make sure that you announce the title of the play or the extract or the monologue and who's written it. And if you can suggest a couple of lines of background, at this point in the play, such and such a thing is happening, or such and such a thing has happened, and this is where such and such is reacting to it. It helps the audience because although it may be something very familiar, if it's a piece from Wind in the Willows or Alice in Wonderland or whatever, people will probably know the book, but they won't know necessarily the bit that you're doing. And you don't want them to discover it in the first 2 or 3 lines of what you say. Tell them so they're with you right at the beginning of the piece, and then you can take them through the passage, take them through the piece of drama that you're performing, and we can enjoy it as a total performance.